Oh, exactly blue. There is nothing wrong with the ISIS fighters. They can come home. I take them all to my home and feed them the crumpet and the croissant.
Allahu Akbar!
Good morning, everybody. We have a restart of impeachment hearings. Yay! Same shit. Same shit. If you saw the impeachment report, by the way, this video isn't about impeachment stuff. I'm not talking about that crap. It's the same thing. The Democrats released an impeachment report, and I've got some breaking, bombshell, earth-shattering, clapback news. It's the same thing they've been saying for the past month, and it's the same thing. They don't add anything new. If you've been following at all, nothing's changed. Wow, congratulations! They updated you. You don't have to read 253 pages. Now that does include some sites in there towards the end, but not a ton of them. 253 pages of Jesus Christ. Give me a TDLR or whatever. Fuck, I ain't reading all that. Alright, anyway. In impeachment hearing live updates. Trump's actions are impeachable. Scholars testify. Like, who are these scholars? They're just like... You can be a scholar on anything, and just... That doesn't make you an expert on... The phone call that Trump made. It doesn't make you read anybody's mind. How many times does the Ukrainian president have to come out and say no, nothing happened, and there to be no additional proof or facts come out for it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you drag out, what corpse you bring. You can bring out John F. Kennedy's dead corpse and have him pantomime on stage. Trump did it. He's impeached. I don't care who you do. There's no additional proof. It doesn't matter. But I'm only bringing this up because notice how the impeachment hearings start exactly when Trump has to go to the UN to talk to the esteemed leaders of the EU, the powerful, smart, all those whatevers. Yeah, whatever. Bunch of nobodies. Gotta talk to Macaroon, man. He's fact-checking Trump. I hate these stupid headlines. Macaroon man fact-checks Trump to his face for false claim on ISIS fighters. Let's be serious. Why are they doing this? I mean, I'm asking a rhetorical question. We all know why they're doing this. Everybody who isn't Trump is a genius. He's cold and calculated, and they're stoic. And Trump is just a bumbling idiot. Whatever, man. The president of France fact-checked Donald Trump's claims as if he just brought up himself. Actually, this is not exactly true, sir. The European ISIS fighters in real time during a tense meeting between the two leaders at the Nato Summit in London. Oh, I said UN, the Nato Summit. How many different acronym things do we need? NATO, EU, UN. We don't. It doesn't matter. Emmanuel Macaroon said, while ISIS fighters from Europe are a tiny minority of the overall problem, the majority of those detained in Syria are not mostly from Europe, as Trump has previously claimed. Well, no shit. No shit, they're not mostly from Europe. You think all the people who got deported or came went to Syria are from... Never mind. These people got attracted from Europe to Syria by a majority of Syrians. Yes, that is true, who are ISIS fighters. But pretending like you don't have an ISIS problem is dumb. The contentious exchange reflected an apparent rift between French and U.S. presidents over how to deal with nearly 10,000 prisoners held in Syria following Mr. Trump's decision to withdraw troops from the region. Mr. Trump, who has suggested that ISIS fighters are Europe's problem to deal with, said during the televised meeting, "We have tremendous amount of captured fighters, ISIS fighters over in Syria, and they're all under lock and key, but many are from France, and many are from Germany and the UK." All right, I'm going to stop. I'll read this, actually. "They're mostly from Europe," he added, before quipping to Mr. Macaroon. "Would you like some nice ISIS fighters? I could give them to you. You can take everyone you want." Isn't that the most Trump thing you could say? I love this picture. As if this like makes him look bad for like talking. This is just him like talking probably normally, trying to project his voice, and it makes him look like he's raging. "Ah, Alex Jones! Ah, you won't have to defeat us! You can't defeat us!" God damn, I love it. But it says we have a tremendous amount of captured fighters, ISIS all over Syria. Many are from So anyway, he's right. There's a problem. They have tons of fighters there, and many of them are from Europe. There's, as you saw in the opening little clip there, there's a ton of them from France. I think it's at 1,100 plus more from the past, another 400 or something. Oh, it's only 1,500. Probably pushing more than that we just don't know about or just left in France or sorry in Syria. It's just no big deal. There's a ton of them. Like they like to pretend that like when you talk about this stuff that there's just the Islamic terrorists and the extremists. They're such a tiny minority, just tiny. Well, if they're so tiny, why is there 1,500 to 2,000 of them? So how tiny is it? Like if there's only like what 10,000 total ISIS terrorists and all of everywhere, and 1,100 or 2,000 of them are from France, that's not a tiny problem. That's a big problem that there's so many French ones. Whatever, man. I know I'm generalizing there, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like it's not just a tiny problem. When you have 1,500, 2,000 of your citizens going to Syria, like that's a problem. It's like if 2,000 people from New York City went to Syria to fight, there'd be a big freaking problem. There are people from the U.S. who did go over there, but there weren't that many. Holy crap! And we're definitely not taking them back, as you saw in one of my other videos. The joke caused Mr. Macaroon to respond with a straight face, saying, "Let's be serious," before adding, "Let us be serious," before adding, "The very last numbers of fighters ground on are the fighters coming from Syria in Iraq, or from Iraq." Sorry, I have a terrible actual French accent. I'm from Louisiana, so I speak a little bit of French. I used to be fluent in it, but the French accent is I can't do it. If I went to France and spoke French, they'd probably not understand a word I said. "It is true that you have many foreign fighters coming from Europe, but it is a tiny minority of the overall problem we have." All right, I'm gonna stop. It's turned it into an Arab accent. But we need to finish the war against ISIS. Don't make any mistakes. The number one problem are not the foreign fighters. This is the ISIS fighters and the regiment. And you have more and more fighters due to the situation today. Mr. Trump then said, "That was one of the greatest non-answers I've ever heard," as he appeared visibly agitated by the French president's correction and impatient tone. I would be too, because it is a non-answer. No, the ISIS problem in the region, yeah, it's a problem, but your bigger problem is in France. They're worried about policing the world and not their own country. No, it is a bigger problem that Europe has a serious ISIS, serious terrorism problem. Not Syria. Syria and all these Islamic countries with a lot of radicals. You're gonna have the problem. You're always gonna have the problem. The problem is when 1,200 to 2,000 of your citizens are leaving France to go fight for ISIS. Like that's a bigger problem. You're an ally of the United States and all of Europe, And if you're just allowing you're just allowing radical citizens to come back, or allowing them just to spread through Europe, that's a problem. That is a serious problem. And to wave it off as it's nothing, we shouldn't worry about that kind of stuff. We'll send them in jail for a year, and we'll give them a French baguette and tell them our bad. Sorry, we failed you as a country. We should have done better. Let us take in more of your people. Well, how about this? We'll go to Syria and we'll take in another, 500,000 refugees, and then we'll put them with you guys. We'll take all the former ISIS fighters, and we'll put these displaced Muslims, and we'll put them all together, and we'll just hope it works out. We'll just let that happen. We'll let that work itself out, because then they'll really love France, right? A state-run news agency in Turkey last month reported that at least 2 detainees had been deported, including an American and a German, and said another 23 European nationals would be deported in the coming days. Mr. Trump and Macron have been steeped in controversy over their opposing views for NATO ahead of the summit, after French president said the U.S. support for global alliance could no longer be taken for granted. Mr. Macron said that NATO was suffering from brain death after following Turkey's invasion of northeastern Syria after U.S. troops withdrawal. The U.S. president said that the suggestion was a very dangerous statement, very insulting. During the bilateral meeting, Mr. Macron said, my statement created some reactions, but I do stand by it. And they didn't stand by it. They don't stand by anything else. Like, they're part of the UN, and they do nothing about places like Turkey. If Turkey wants to, it's not the United States' job to police Turkey. That's your job. You're part of this. I guess we just have to pay the bill. That's what France is saying. Pay the bill for the UN and shut up and take it. We're gonna take these ISIS fighters back, and you're just gonna have to like it. You're gonna have to give us more money so we can police France. This is your fault, United States. Your fault. We have to take all these refugees and all these radical Islamists into France because you won't pay us enough money. And then we have to handicap your giving us money by destroying your economy with this carbon taxes. We're gonna carbon tax you for these ISIS fighters that are using carbon to drive around in France and make us croissants. France. All right, guys. I'm sorry about that. I lost control for a second. I just, the baguette in my brain, just lost it. Coincidentally, I've got another article here about another ISIS bride, Lisa Smith. Wow, doesn't that just sound like a wholesome everybody name? A 30-year-old woman was arrested on arrival in Dublin Sunday, has been identified by Ireland's Justice Minister as a former soldier in Ireland's army who told CNN in March that she had traveled to Syria as an ISIS bride. Who thought... I just don't understand who thinks this stuff is a good idea. Just go into another country to become a bride in ISIS. Even if everything worked out perfectly, best case scenario, you're in a third world country in a war zone, struggling to eat and get clean water. Wow, congrats. On her arrival in Dublin, Lisa Smith was met by Garda Sochona. I thought that was going to say Ariana Grande. Irish Justice Minister Charlie Flanagan said, using the Irish name for the National Police Force, "This is a sensitive case. I want to reassure people that all the relevant state agencies are closely involved," Flanagan's statement continued. The Irish government has been working to repatriate Smith since her case was first reported in CNN's Joma Karadeshi in March. I don't know the name. Anyway, much like the one in the United States, she's fighting for to be allowed back in the country. Irish Deputy Prime Minister Simone Coveney told Irish national broadcaster RTE on Sunday that authorities were working primarily to ensure the safety of a 2-year-old girl who was in the war zone. Ireland's Child and Family Agency, as well as different parties or partners, are looking into the welfare of the child, he added. Meanwhile, Smith is not living among the Irish people, and that she is in a guard station being questioned. CNN interviewed Smith, who is a widow, when she was being held at the Al-Hol camp in northern Syria with her daughter. She initially approached CNN at a large encampment created for those displaced from former ISIS territory, saying that she was quite famous back home, wearing a niqab, I forgot to say that, and carrying her young daughter in her arms. Smith added that she wanted to return back to Ireland. Not all people here are terrorists. They are ordinary people that made mistakes. No, if you went to Syria to be an ISIS bride, you're a terrorist. Even if you don't go blowing yourself up or shooting up people, you're a terrorist. When asked whether she was prepared to be prosecuted when she returned from Ireland, she said, "Well, I know they'd strip me of my passport and stuff, and I wouldn't travel, and I'd kind of be watched. But prison? I don't know. I'm already in prison." I think, and that's essentially. I'm not gonna read the rest of this. It's this lady who's like, I don't understand. I'm just a citizen who did something wrong. I made a mistake, but I'm not that bad. Take me back, Ireland. Just another one of these cases. Look at my little baby. Look at she's just a little girl. So sweet and sensitive. No, send them both back. I don't know what Ireland's gonna do here, but she should be sent back to Syria and forced to live out her life there. Whatever she needs to do. Sorry. Bye, girl. Bye. It's so dumb. I can see an argument for the child, but when you start separating children, that creates animosity towards the people. When the child grows up and realizes that her mom was stripped away from her for these reasons, it's going to create animosity. It's the same reason why when you go bombing places like Iraq and Syria and stuff, it creates more terrorist fighters because the young kids see what, stuff that has to be done, but they get the wrong point of view, and then they become radicalized, basically. So anyway, that's the story for that. Your whole macaroon update, his tasty little cakes and cookies, and the impeachment. All right. You guys like, share, subscribe, please. Please.